Welcome to Fall Rise Give, a space where we invite you to dig into the real cause of your suffering, looking at opportunities for growth with a change in your beliefs, thoughts, and actions so you can be your true self and be inspired. Join us as we explore life's ups and downs and navigate the twists and turns, sharing stories of resilience, hope, and the transformative power of giving back. Whether you're looking for a change, in recovery, or simply seeking inspiration, this podcast is your go-to for candid conversations, raw emotions, and a whole lot of heart. Tune in and discover how to fall, rise, and give back on life's extraordinary journey. Fall, Rise, Give turns struggles into opportunities by being your true self and help others. I'm Bartender Bob. I was going to say Bob Schmidt. I was going to actually say my real name, Kumar. I was going to say my first and last name. I guess I just did, so there we go. But did you have a good week?
I did. I had a really good week. It was a full work week because there's no holiday or not traveling for me. And I got to golf twice this week, Sunday and Friday. And so when you go out in nature and you go hit some golf balls, it's always a good week. And just a center, a very productive week. Yeah.
You know, it's nice that you say that, because for me, my time is I had grandpa time. I got to spend time with both of my grandchildren, which was fantastic. I also got to go on a couple of motorcycle rides, so I got to take in the mighty Mississippi River. And I live in a small town right on the river, so I'm able to take the curves and just look at the beauty and enjoy all that. And it's just it was a fantastic week for me as well. And I really enjoy the fact that, even though it rains or even though something's, whatever, I still can look out and I can still see the Mississippi River. I can still see the bluffs and, take it all in and enjoy the surroundings and enjoy the things that are, close and important to me.
Yeah, that's what living is all about, I think. They talk a lot about stopping to smell the roses and to be able to see. As I'm looking out from my location, I see a couple of sailboats on the water. It's kind of like a lake, but it's not. It's the Puget Sound. I'm kind of in a town called Poulsbo, like you said, but water is very calming, and the nature and just life, I feel very grateful for where I'm at right now, physically and also just in life. Grateful to be able to do this with you as well, to share some insights and to grow this podcast, man. We got to blow this up.
Yeah, we certainly do. So what I'm thinking, because what we both kind of mentioned is that we've got beauty all around us, but that kind of turns you, or it kind of humbles me to look out and to see all this stuff and to think I'm just a cog in the wheel. I'm just a pebble in the bottom of a tire, just trying to enjoy all this stuff. So it makes you step back and look at that and think, wow, there's all this beauty and all this stuff all around us.
Yeah, the universe is vast, right? Our world is vast. Even if you just look at, you're just one of the few people in Wisconsin, right? I'm just one of the few people, one of the millions in Seattle area. And then if you look at that, if you just say, okay, you're just one of 300 million people in the US, you're one of the billions in North America, you're just one of 6.5 or 8 billion in the Earth. And there's probably other stars, other galaxies, and other places where there's life. And it's amazing. Beauty is all around us, but it is humbling that we are just a small pebble in this vast sea and this vast beach of this world that we're in. And so it kind of hits the topic of today, which is humility, and talking about humility and as a tool to better yourself, to live a more fulfilling life, to live a more connected life with others. You really get to get a lot of things out of being humble. And I'm not saying self-confidence and self-assuredness is not a bad thing. It's not. But it doesn't mean that you should have arrogance or narcissism. So being humble is really being true self-confident and to be able to soak it all in, whatever that beauty in the nature is or in your work life or whatever. But being humble and humility is a great tool that I aspire to.
And I try to as well. And we talk about nature and all that, but I mean, there's also beauty in cities. There's beauty in rural areas. There's beauty in the desert. There's beauty everywhere you look. If you think about it, I mean, if you've got that open enough mind or an open enough heart, you're going to be able to see beauty in every single thing. At least that's what I try to do. I mean, I know that I don't always hit it, but sometimes, sometimes that's just the way it is,
Yeah, it's funny when you mentioned that open your heart. We talked about the chakras, and we'll continue bringing them in. The fourth chakra is about opening your heart, and the way we open ourselves up is by being humble, by saying, hey, maybe I don't know everything. Maybe I just know a little bit. So it opens up to learning, opens up to being open to other people by saying, hey, maybe they have something to teach me, opening yourself up to love by being humble and caring instead of just being, hey, you're all fine, you're all an independent island by yourself. So, yeah, being humble opens up your heart, opens up your chakra. It also grounds you. So it's also a grounding thing with the root chakra. Being humble has so much great value. I think it's one of the best principles. And as we talked about it last week with Benjamin Franklin, he worked on humility himself quite a bit, and he's ended up accomplishing incredible things in life and the world. And I mean, how many people can say they have the $100 bill as their name, right? Is the
Right.
Benjamin. It's Benjamin Franklin, and it's the $100 bill. So yeah, by
Absolutely.
being humble, he was able to practice humility and work on it.
Absolutely. It's funny that because last week we talked about Benjamin Franklin, who is on the $100 bill, and this week I think we should talk about maybe the opposite side of that. So, I mean, the $100 bill is the biggest currency that you can get in the United States now. They used to have like $500 bills and $1,000 bills, but they took all that away because of drugs and all that stuff. Which I think they should bring them back because $100 bill nowadays, it doesn't go as far as it did when we were kids. But let's talk about the opposite side of that. The smallest bit of currency that you can get is the penny, and who, of course, is on the penny? Abraham Lincoln is is on the penny. So we talked about the highest and now the lowest, but Abraham Lincoln is one of these guys that I mean, not only was a president, not only did he was president during the Civil War, so one of the speeches that I remember from school, is the Gettysburg Address. 70 years ago, our forefathers brought forth in this continent a new nation conceived and on and on and on. I remember that from the fourth grade, which is kind of crazy that that kind of stuff I can remember, but I can't remember what I had for lunch yesterday.
Yeah, I can't remember what I had for lunch yesterday. Actually, I can. It was a good lunch, but I I it's we talk about people who are statesmen and people who are like incredible, powerful beings. We talked about Benjamin Franklin. We talked a little bit about Colonel Sanders. Not that he was this great statesman, but he had perseverance was his big thing. But we're not just talking about people in the old age. We'll bring in modern day folks as well. But some people are defining society and the world, and that's what Abe Lincoln did. But most people have no clue that he had this humble background to be born in a log cabin. Electricity was not a thing there. He had to read on a lamp. He didn't have formal education until much later in his life. He was an avid reader. He used to borrow books from neighbors or anybody he could get stuff from. His first wife died. His three kids died while he was living. I don't know if he went bankrupt, but he lost his business and he was in debt for a number of years. He lost elections for congressman, for senator. As a vice president, he was trying to get the vice presidentship. He lost that. He just so many failures in his life, but he just kept on going and kept on fighting through. Incredible what he did. And I mean, he basically stood his line on trying to get rid of slavery, and he fought for the rights of people that didn't have a lot of people fighting for them. And he changed the world as far as slavery and what the United States did. And there was just, more people died in the Civil War than any other war in the U.S., I believe. And so he was an incredible person to bring about this change in America and define America as a place of freedom. That's what this is all about, right? America 4th of July, which we celebrated last weekend, a week and a half ago, is all about freedom. And so he created freedom for a large percentage of our population, or a large percentage of people in the world, in the U.S. So giving people the right to be live freely. So yeah, came from very humble beginnings and was able to change the world to a huge degree, especially the United States.
As I mentioned last week when we were talking about Benjamin Franklin, I ran it through ChatGTP and just said, how does Benjamin Franklin go with Fall, Rise, Give? I did the same thing with Abraham Lincoln, and it's pretty cool how it was able to come up with this. This is what it said for Fall. It said Lincoln faced numerous setbacks throughout his life, from business failures, as you mentioned, political defeats, as you mentioned. Earlier years were marked by struggles with hardships. He basically had quite a lot of falls, and the falls shaped his character. For Rise, it says, despite these challenges, Lincoln's rise became one of his most revered to become one of the most revered presidents in American history, with nothing short of being inspiring. And talking about how he emphasized on his determination, his resilience, his pivotal movements that defined his ascent into the great President Hall. Heck, he's on the coin, and he's on the $5 bill. And I wonder if that's how "Give Me Five" ended up happening, because the $5 bill, give me five. I don't know. That's just a stretch there. But then he said for Give, his legacy is about giving freedom through emancipation, proclamation, giving unity to the divided nation, and ultimately giving his life for the cause that he believed in. So I mean, he gave the ultimate. He gave the ultimate by being shot by John Wilkes Booth. So if you think about it, he gave what our podcast is all about: the fall, the rise, and the give.
He was able to give so much back to the world, and it all started with being humble, and from him having the humility but not giving up, not quitting with all these pitfalls. He was clinically depressed, is what it was also said. A lot of us go through mental health issues, and I have people in my family that have struggled in mental illness, and I have lots of friends who suffer with mental illness and mental disabilities in certain ways. But I think if you're humble, if you want a better life or a better situation, humility is a great tool, because it opens you up to learning. It opens you up to grace from other people, higher power, whatever. By being arrogant or being overly confident, you end up closing yourself up. You think you know it all. The opposite of humility is know it all. And in that case, nobody wants to be around a know it all, right? Those people are unknowing. So the opposite of humility is really closeness. It's not wanting to get better. It's not getting to connect with other people, because you're kind of an ass if you're going to be a know-it-all and arrogant and narcissistic. So being humble, and that's probably what helped him a lot achieve, and people were drawn to him because he came from humble attitude, and he had a humility and a sense of, people who are humble tend to listen a lot more. They tend to not talk as much. They tend to care about other people. I was talking to a guy this week who was applying for a job on my team, and he asked me some of the characteristics of people that are successful in our line of business and in his role that he was applying for. And I basically said humility. Humility allows you to be open to curiosity, wanting to get things better, listening to others, and it's a huge characteristics in being successful in any line of work. In your line of business, in podcasting or radio, um, the more open you are, you ask questions, you want to learn more about other people. Humility matters a lot, right, Bob? I mean, isn't that a huge deal in communication and in the media world?
Oh, absolutely. And just being, like you said, being open to suggestion too, because I mean, some people will say, this is how I did it, and then if you're willing and you're open enough to say, what, that's actually a good idea, and I can, you take in and you learn from the people that are giving you, that you're interviewing or that you're talking to, and then you'll be able to in turn maybe use some of that stuff to help your life or to help somebody else with their life, just by being open to what it is that they said.
It's kind of funny. I mean, we always bring in examples of our real life in a situation, right? And so yesterday we were at dinner at this Italian place in town here in Poulsbo, Washington, where we're spending the couple of days. And we were sitting there, and somehow my wife started talking about stocks and mutual funds and that kind of thing. And what she showed me was a couple of mutual funds that she's been following. I kind of discounted them. I'm like, oh, I know what I'm doing. I'm into this software world, and I'm into this software mutual funds with Fidelity, this and that. And I was kind of a know-it-all. I thought I knew everything. I thought that my investment in this thing, in this mutual fund, was all there was. And then she told me, she's like, check out these other ones I've been tracking them. Look at the charts of these two other mutual funds. They're both technology funds. One's focused on overall technology, mega companies like Apple and Nvidia and Microsoft and all that. The other one is focused on just semiconductors. And I was sitting there and I was like, God, I do know it all. I do think I'm arrogant in this particular part of my life. And I don't know it all because I started thinking that I thought I knew it all. And then I
Hmm.
started opening myself up. Then I started researching these mutual funds on my phone. And I was sitting there, not necessarily at dinner, but much later. And I was thinking about it. I was like, geez, you know, maybe I am wrong. Maybe the charts of these two mutual funds is better than mine. And maybe I should think about listening to my wife, who's not necessarily a expert in financial stock stuff, but she knows it all because she's been tracking it for the 6 months. She's open
Can I
minded.
just
She's
can I just
humble.
stop you right there?
Yep.
Can I just stop you right there? You said maybe I should listen to my wife. Kumar, you definitely should listen to your wife. Not only on this, but on other things as well, because you know what they say, happy wife, happy life. And and that's really the truth. I mean, if you're both happy, if you're both living a good life, then everybody's going to be happy. If one of you isn't, or one of you feels like you're getting not heard, or one of you feel like you're not being a true partner in the partnership, then things kind of start to fall. So yes, you definitely should listen to your wife.
Definitely should listen. And I also want to think about, it's not just listening. You can definitely listen, but to be able to alter your behavior, to really listen, to really be humble, say, maybe I don't know enough about this thing. And so she had some great points. And so maybe somebody's not an expert in your mind because of history or background experience, but maybe the thought that they're coming from is from research for the last 6 months, like in her case, or last 8 months. And maybe it's somebody just read a great book and they got a great insight. Maybe it's your kid who came up from the playground and experienced this thing. And because you're an adult, you think you know it all. But what if, being humble, you listen to this kid and you started analyzing or researching or thinking about what they're saying? And in that situation, we're open, we're learning. We don't have to necessarily decide and jump full board on what the other person's saying, but maybe it opens up our mind to start to be curiosity wise, looking at it and to be able to see, hey, maybe they have a point. But what we do is not only do we get to make a better decision, more informed decision when we do listen to others, but we also open up by being connected. I know for a fact my wife felt very cool that I was listening to her. I
Right.
felt very good about the fact that she maybe knows better in this area because she's been researching for the last 6 months. So
Right.
yeah, it
Well,
does make a big difference when you listen to others. They feel appreciated. They feel credit given to them for their expertise or whatever. They feel valued, really. And when you value others, oh my God, your relationship gets a lot stronger. And that's what one of the things that humility does. It makes your relationship a lot stronger.
absolutely. And you know what? And you can also learn something from every single person that's out there. I know that my stepfather, Dave, he was telling me about, he had a non-ambulatory daughter, and so that means she couldn't talk, she couldn't speak, she could hear, but when you're raising a child like that, I'm assuming that it's really tough. And a lot of times, we're after ourselves. We think about ourselves more than we think about, sometimes. And Dave was telling me a couple weeks ago, after listening to our podcast, that he learned the greatest gift of humility from his daughter just by being around her. And just he said he held her hand one day, and they were talking. He was talking, looking at her, and then all of a sudden everything just opened up. And so he learned something from his non-ambulatory daughter, which I thought was amazing. And I think that we should have him on as a guest of the show one of these days, just to talk a little bit about how that worked and how he was able to do that. But I did want to turn our attention a little bit to this and just say, how does humility and that tie into the attitude adjustment program? I'm assuming that's a lot of what the program is about. Is it not?
Yeah, what's funny is addiction. Once you recognize you have an addiction, once you actually acknowledge that you have an issue, it's humbling. I was in a meeting last couple of days, and yesterday, a couple of people shared they were forced to go to the attitude adjustment meeting based on court order. They had to attend 90 meetings, and they were basically humbled by a judge and society for the mistakes that they made. And what came out of it was they were learning a lot more about life and humility and success and recovery, because thank God the judge knew that this attitude adjustment program works well. But it is a normal occurrence for people to be humbled with addiction and recovery. And once you do that, you become vulnerable. And when you become vulnerable, you start to really look at things as how they are. So humility is really, if you're going to be vulnerable, you're going to be humble. And when you're vulnerable, um, you're going to open yourself to connection from other people. You're going to get to the core of your issues, your root causes of life and happenings. And so, yeah, addiction can, in any form, alcohol or drugs or whatever, can really get you in a place where you can really screw up. And once you realize you have an addiction, it's a very humbling experience. And the mistakes that you make in life, they're not bad, because a lot of people in recovery end up going on to do great things. And famous author, I think I told you about, Gabrielle Bernstein, wrote a book called, we've talked about her book, The Universe Has Your Back. She was in recovery for 10 years, and she's a New York Times bestseller now and has a huge podcast and an app and all that stuff. So people go on and change others' lives, millions and millions of lives, as she's doing, I think. And yeah, so you can do great things, but it starts with humility and admitting that you have an issue, being vulnerable, and that gets that help. I think that's where that higher power comes in, is once you realize you don't know everything, once you realize there's situations that humble you for a reason, so you can fall, so you can start to rise again through humility. And once you start to rise, then you start to give back, because you realize that, hey, my struggles were my own experiences to give me my gifts, the gifts of my lessons, so I can help others. That ties into the whole circle of our theme of our podcast. So, yeah, the recovery part of it, the attitude adjustment program, and humility is a huge part of life. And that's kind of where I got the topic from yesterday's meeting as well. Is like, I want to talk about humility because it's such a powerful, powerful tool. And obviously, I got to experience it in a couple of forms at dinner last night and an interview situation last week when I was interviewing somebody for a role on my team. So, yeah, humility is every day, everything in life. The more humble you are, the better you're going to connect with others, the better you're going to learn, and yeah, you can be successful.
I think a lot of it boils down to just the ask too, just like how can I do this? How is it that you're better at this than I am? How can how can you help me to be better at this? And so I'm going to actually give a little bit of my humility right now, and actually maybe a little bit for you as well, is that if anybody that's listening right now is good at marketing podcasts or good at getting the name of a podcast out there, to please contact us, because I mean, I could use your help, and we could use your help in helping to help our podcast reach other people.
Yeah, that's awesome, right? So, yeah, we're looking to grow it. We've invested a bunch of money in marketing and advertising on Facebook and other things. Some things have worked, some things haven't worked. Most things haven't worked as much as we'd like to. And so, yeah, we'd love to talk to people who are experts in marketing, promotions, publicists kind of folks, and help us grow the podcast. So we'd love to reach more people to help others. That's our theme, is to help others, to learn as we go, help ourselves by learning. The more you help others, the more you help yourself through the gifts that they give you. Yeah, we'd love to get in touch with you. So please contact us. You know how to get in touch with us through fallriseandgive.com. And We're everywhere on every platform. We just need more people.
Right. And just a reminder, it's fallrisegive.com. The cool thing is, I don't know if you checked this out, Kumar, or not. I'm assuming that you have the Amazon lady. I'm not going to say it because she's right over there. But if you say her name and then just say, play Fall Rise Give, she'll actually start playing it. Have you tried that?
Yeah, Alexa, right? Alexa,
yes.
Please play Fall Rise Give, and she'll start playing it. So it's on there too. All right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's an amazing thing right there. So, if you're listening to this, please give us a 5-star review. Give us a little bit of a rating if you can. And if you know anything about marketing of podcasts, please get a hold of us, because we'd love to help more people and love to talk to more people with our weekly podcast of Fall Rise Give. Anything you want to wrap up with?
The more you give, the more you get back. It's surprising. People think they have to be self-assured, they have to be overconfident, they have to be arrogant. You don't. The more humble you are, the more connection, the more you're going to get what you want out of life. So be humble, my friends. It's a great tool. And people who are humble are really, truly self-confident. They're the ones who are really, confident. So oftentimes we're insecure, that's why we try to act overconfident and stuff. So let's, you got this. Whatever challenges you're going on through, be humble, ask for help, be vulnerable. Help is around the corner. Your higher power is looking out for you. Your angels are looking out for you. And you got this, whatever struggles you're going through.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Fall Rise Give, where we explore stories of resilience, growth, and giving back. If you enjoyed today's episode, please visit our website at www.fallrisegive.com. Also, consider subscribing to our podcast on your favorite platform and leaving us a review. Your feedback helps us to continue to bring you inspiring stories. Stay tuned for our next episode, and remember, every fall is a chance to rise, and every rise is an opportunity to give. Until next time, keep falling, rising, and giving. This is Fall Rise Give, produced by podcastforhire.com. Thank you for listening.